This is Never Down, Never Out with T.R. Matson. This podcast is about discipline when motivation fades, resilience when things get hard, and showing up when quitting would be easier. No hype, no shortcuts, just the mindset required to build something real. One day at a time. Let's get into it. Welcome back. Episode 23 coming at you. Excited to be here. This is a good one. This is something I think everybody out there who's listening can relate to, no matter what your goal is. And that's really what I'm focusing on here. So I'm going to jump right into it. Maybe it'll be a little bit shorter of an episode. Maybe my soapbox won't be quite as high today. But again, I appreciate everybody coming in, listening, sticking with me through this. I can't believe that in about a week from now, we're going to be a month into this. That blows my mind. But thank you for all the support. So today, what are we talking about today? We are talking about building momentum from zero. How do we do that? One of the hardest things to do. I have a goal. I want to do something. How do I start? Now, you've heard me say before, just take one step. I can't walk. Well, crawl. Well, I can't. Think about it. Just slide. Do something. Just get moving, right? That sounds great. And I mean that. I genuinely mean that. But sometimes it's not that simple because our minds fight us. And it stinks. Our greatest asset is often our greatest liability. I'll repeat that. Our greatest asset, our mind, is often our greatest liability. It holds us back. So let me give an example. At 7 years old, I wanted to be a Navy pilot. I've told the Blue Angel story, right? You've heard it. I'm out fishing with my dad. I see it. I ask him, is it possible? Can a kid like me, a nobody dad, one day fly for the United States Navy? And he goes, yeah, of course. But that doesn't mean that all of a sudden I had all this momentum. In fact, if you know my story, the people close to me, from 7 years old till about 19, I didn't have any momentum. I mean, I almost failed out of my first year of college, for Christ's sakes. Texas A&M told me I needed a perfect GPA my second semester in order to transfer. Think about that for a second. Anybody who's dealt with college and the cost of college and all this. Here I am coming to them as an out-of-state resident saying, I want to be a member of your school. And they said, cool, we want you to be. But you need a 4.0. What? But it just blew my mind. And here's the thing, I don't fault them. They were 100% right because there's competition to get into these schools and they can't waste it on somebody who has a proven track record of being kind of pathetic when it comes to school. I mean, and that's saying it nicely. So you're talking, at least a decade or more of my life, I had no momentum, no real drive for anything. And that was after seeing the Blue Angels fly off Long Island. I mean, this is everybody's seen the Thunderbirds, the Blue Angels, or some aerial demo, and it's like, wow, of course, that's the whole point, right? And I still had no momentum. So, how do we build it? But before we talk about building it and how we build it, let's talk about why, right? As pilots, I always joke, the pilots when I used to teach, we're the type of mentality that we like to know the why. If you explain to a group of pilots the why behind doing a procedure, they are far more likely to be on board for doing the procedure and remember how to do the procedure. It's just the way our brains are trained to work. So, why is it so hard to build that momentum? In my opinion, as somebody who is not qualified to talk about how our brain works other than what I've experienced in my own life, in my opinion, it's simply because of how our brain manifests what it's going to be like to achieve our goals. Here's what I mean by it. I'm 7 years old. I'm on a boat with my dad. I look up and see the Blue Angels diamond come screaming overhead, or the solo sneak pass that rattles you to your core. And my first thought is not sitting in Enid, Oklahoma, in the middle of the winter after I just threw up for the 10th time in 10 flights, studying for 12 hours a day procedures that I didn't fully understand, only to go back to my room to study more, go to sleep, and repeat for 6 months straight. My mind didn't go there. My mind was in the jet launching off an aircraft carrier, right? Listening to Danger Zone. I mean, think of the time frame, right? My mind puts me there. And why is that important? Well, one, it's how we're wired as humans, right? Think about it. Nobody would ever accomplish anything if you saw your end state goal, right? And the first thought you had was the work you had to do to get there. You'd be like, screw that, man. I'm not doing it. Think about it. Let's talk about a football player. They want to play in the Super Bowl. They want to win the Super Bowl. If their brain didn't visualize themselves winning the big game on the 50-yard line with the confetti and everything, but instead it immediately visualized 3-a-day practices in the summer before the season started, right? In the weight room, studying plays. If that was the first thing that came into our minds, you'd be like, is it worth it? So our minds naturally play the final scene in the movie. When you have a goal, your mind builds the finale, right? That's what gets you hooked. You're in. It's going to be sweet. This is awesome. Then, as soon as your mind has you hooked, then it presents you with the reality of, how do I get there? I mean, dude, I'm a 7-year-old kid on a boat, standing next to my dad, who's a mechanic. At 7, maybe I had been in an airliner once in my life. How do you take that kid and transform him to the finale of the movie? Like, it's too much. It becomes overwhelming. It becomes overbearing. Worry sets in, self-doubt, everything. All of these things play out. And it's why people are their own worst enemy. It's when our brain shifts from being an asset, look at the finale, to being a liability. You think you're going to get there? How? Right? Logical reason starts creeping in, and you go, how am I possibly going to get there? There's so much between me and there. Forget it. You know what? I got life to deal with, whether that life is the life of a 7-year-old or that life is a 47-year-old. I'll deal with it tomorrow. And we never, ever get going. And then, like I've described before, we find ourselves at the end of our lives. And the visualization that I have is that all of these dreams that came to you because they wanted to be brought to life are just looking at you on your deathbed, just like, thanks, man. Thanks a lot. We came to you because we thought you had a shot. And now we're going to die with you. Thank you. Right? So how do we build that momentum? We need something, right? We're a car on ice. We need to get a little bit of traction, just a little. It doesn't take a ton. But we have to figure out how to do that. And how you do it is actually quite simple. In my opinion, which is why you're listening to me. There's other opinions, and they're probably very valid, smart, educated people on this that have formal training. And then there's me. You picked the podcast. Thank you. But so, in my opinion, how do you do it? 2 things. You got to be organized, and you got to be realistic. The day after fishing with my dad, I was not going to get sworn into the Navy to be a pilot. It wasn't going to happen. So where I failed is I didn't use that decade to learn how to get there. Now, the goal came back around and it worked out. But I wasted 10, 12, 14 years that I could have used giving myself a better chance, which is why I'm talking to you today. I'm hoping that I can help you with that. And maybe you don't have to go through that. So let's organize things today. Let's try to learn. Sometimes that organization is as simple as clarifying your life. Hey, all of a sudden I have a goal. I want to lose weight, or I want to become a doctor or a lawyer. Remember, your mind is going to play the finale of the movie. If the goal is I want to lose weight, it's going to show you visualization of you skinny and in great shape on a beach, no shirt on. Or if you want to be a lawyer or doctor, it's going to show you scenes of you in that courtroom with the big case, or in the ER doing the operation. But where you sit today, you may have no idea how to get there. You have to learn. You have to figure it out. You don't need a full diet and exercise plan. You need to identify the things in your life that is causing you excess calories and lack of movement. Let's start there. If there are negative influences on your life, which can be friends, sometimes family, you need to push them away a little bit and get your mind focused on how to be efficient with your day. Step one, get organized. That doesn't mean have a plan all the way to the end. It just means you have to have something. You have to have clarity in your life. Step one. Step two, we need goals. But dude, I have a goal. I want to be a Navy pilot. Great. But you don't wake up a Navy pilot. You have to do good in school. You have to be a well-rounded individual. You have to honestly be a good person to some degree, because they weed that out. I saw it in flight school all the time. The one-ways, as we would call them, that only cared about themselves. That's not going to work. You're never going to be by yourself. You're a team bigger than you in any profession. You have to be a team player. But you also have to set smaller goals that you can achieve now. So if 7-year-old me could do it again, angels, I want to do that. You could do it. Okay. How? I don't know. Let's learn. Let's go to the library. Let's go online. Our phones are great. We have all of the resources we could possibly imagine right there. Let's figure it out. Somebody has probably done it before you. Let's learn about it. Okay? Let's identify the negativity today that is going to hold you back, and let's learn about the goal. Because as you learn about what you want to be, that doctor, that lawyer, that pilot, that skinny shirtless guy on the beach, you will naturally come up with smaller goals down the line that you can obtain and you can achieve. That's how the wheels start turning on the ice. If you've ever driven a car on ice from a dead stop, you don't floor it. You let off the brake, you start rolling. It's a slow process. Because if you floor it, you're going to spin your tires. Now, are you going to move? Yeah. Are you going to build momentum? 100%. Is it going to be in the direction you're trying to drive? Don't know. There's just as good of a chance as that your momentum is going to take you into the snowbank than it is down the road you're trying to go. So that's why when it comes to this in life, you can't just floor it. It doesn't work. You have to take clear, measurable steps. And then as you accomplish those steps, you stack the win. Hey, I read a book about the Blue Angels. Okay, well, they're all Navy pilots that were in the fleet before they came. Okay, so now I know I can't just join the Navy and be a Blue Angel. I've got to be a Navy pilot first. Okay, oh, well, they also all flew, tactical pointy nose. Okay, well, now not only can I just not be a Navy pilot, I have to be a tactical Navy pilot. I have to fly fighters. I have to do that. Okay, now we're narrowing this down, right? We're setting a path. We're not just flooring it and aiming at the snowbank. We're not just hoping that it works out. That initial time when your life goes from I have a dream, I have a goal, and your brain shows you the finale of the movie. From that moment to when you first start building momentum is some of the most critical time to determine whether you are going to be successful or not. We think about things all day, every day. Every day. Think about it. Go back to your childhood. I love it. My son, Dad, I want to be a NASCAR driver and a fighter pilot and a Navy SEAL and play baseball. And his mind is going a mile a minute with all of the things he wants to accomplish. It'll probably take him 10 lifetimes to do it. Not to say it's impossible, but there's only so many hours. That's the finale. He's seeing himself at the end state of this movie. The credits are rolling. It's great. But you still got to get that momentum going. Because if you don't get the tires moving with some traction and direction, it's just another dream. Just another thought that's going to probably die with you. So today you have a thought. You've listened to me rant for 15 minutes. There's something in your heart that is burning. You've seen the finale. You're the hero of your movie. You've seen it. The credits are rolling. You've gotten there. Now let's learn. Let's take a step back. Let's take a deep breath. How much do you know about whatever it is you're trying to obtain? If the answer is not much, go learn. But while you're learning, also take a look at your day-to-day habits. Which ones are good and will help benefit your end state goal and get you to that movie finale? And which ones are toxic and are only going to hurt? Get rid of them. Push them aside. Make your social circle smaller for a little bit. Hone your craft. I remember hearing somebody say that if you're going to be successful at anything in life, you got to be a little bit off. You got to be a little bit crazy to your craft for a little while. And what they mean by that is that's that transition phase from letting off the brake and gaining a little bit of traction and trying not to go too far and slide into the snowbank. So today, as you think about what your goal is and you have that dream burning inside of you, I want you to think about the goods and bads that are presented with you today. What are you doing today? Let's get rid of some of the bad. Let's build some of that momentum. And then as we make clear, concise decisions and start getting the tires rolling, stack those wins because you're going down the street. You're not veering off the side of the road. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time. If this episode helped you, don't just listen, apply it. Progress is built in what you do after the message ends. Remember, never down, never out. I'll see you tomorrow.